To start this problem, we need to determine the center. And the center is the opposite of the x and the opposite of the y. So the center is at the point 2, -3. Vertices. My A is 3 and my B is 2 because it's the square root of each. Well, the vertices fall on the major axis, which is under the x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add and subtract A to the x value. So my vertice is 2 plus 3, comma, -3, and 2 minus 3, comma, -3, which is the point 5, -3, and -1, -3. From the center, I also need to go up 2 and down 2, so I'll have a point there and a point right here, and I can make my ellipse from there. Focus is c squared equals a squared, which is 9, minus b squared, which is 4. So c squared equals 5, therefore c equals plus and minus rad 5. But again, we're going to add and subtract that to the major axis, which is the x, and rad 5 is approximately 2.2. So I'm going to take 2 plus 2.2, comma, -3, and 2 minus 2.2, -3 to get my values of my focus. The last piece we're going to do here is eccentricity, which is c over a, and that's approximately 0.74, which again a little bit more elongated than it is round. This one's going to take us a bit to get into standard form. We're going to have to complete the square. So I have 9x squared minus 54x plus something. The y's is 4y squared plus 40y plus something. And that's going to equal, I'm going to subtract the 37 to the other side. All right, from here I need to factor out a leading coefficient. So I'm factoring out a 9 with the x's, and that's x squared minus 6x plus something. I'm going to factor out a 4, which will leave me y squared plus 10y plus something, which equals -37. All right, now we're going to complete the square. I have a coefficient of 9 on the outside, x squared, and half of that term is -3, and -3 squared is 9. So how much did I add to that left side? Well, when I distribute that back in, I really added 81 because it's 9 times 9. Plus 4y, half of this is 5, and 5 squared is 25, which means when I distribute that in, I add 100. When I simplify the right-hand side, I get 144. Now, I'm still not in standard form because this has to be 1, so I'm going to divide 144 out of every term and simplify. When I do that, I get x minus 3 squared over 16 plus y plus 5 squared over 36, and that equals 1. Here's standard form of my ellipse. From there, I can figure out the center. The center is the opposite of the x, the opposite of the y, so there's my center. I know that my a value falls underneath my y, so my a is the square root of 36, which is 6. B is the square root of 16, which is 4. So to find my vertices, I'm going to add and subtract 6. So my vertices are 3, -5 plus 6, 1, and 3, -5 minus 6, which is -11. Focus. C squared equals A squared, which is 36, minus 16. 36 minus 16 is 20. So C squared equals 20, and C equals plus and minus rad 20. And the approximation of that is we'll go 4.5. So again, to find my focus, I'm going to add and subtract 4.5 to the y values. So the first one is -5 plus 4.5, which is -0.5. And the second one is -5 minus 4.5, which is -9.5. So you can now graph all of these pieces and you'll have a graph of this ellipse.